Welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is Jason Kmet, and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. How's it going?
Well, it's okay. I kind of seem like I'm catching a bit of a cold here, so I don't know if I sound nasal or not, but I kind of feel nasal. How about that?
Well, you're coming in crystal clear on my end, so hopefully we can still get through our weekly chat and talk about all things Calgary soccer.
Yeah, well, this is a big weekend. There's some big soccer matches happening from a Calgary point of view this weekend. So yeah, we definitely have some topics for tonight. But if you are a new listener, though, and you haven't listened to our podcast before, Scott, what is the YYC Soccer Podcast all about?
So our podcast focuses on all things soccer related, but from a specifically Calgary perspective. So we talk about the city's two professional teams, those being Cavalry FC and the Calgary Wild. We also talk about post-secondary teams from Calgary, those being the University of Calgary, Mount Royal University, and SAIT. And we also talk about high-level amateur and grassroots soccer as well. So all things Calgary, all things soccer.
This week, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a couple of big games to talk about in particular. Cavalry FC, they're in the CPL championship match on the weekend. We'll talk about that, obviously. And Mount Royal University Cougars are at the USports National Championships in Toronto, and we have news to report about that one. They advanced in their first round game.
Yeah, this was super cool to see. They were taking on the Cape Breton Capers, who are a perennially strong team in Canadian university soccer, and they nabbed the win 2-1 with another late goal from a familiar face. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that game, Jason, and then we also have an interview.
Our interview this week is with Cavalry FC defender Callum Montgomery.
Yeah, first time we've had Callum on the podcast, Jason, but we have spoken to him informally before, so it was good to get him on for the first time.
I think probably a good place to start right now is to get into the championship preview with Cavalry FC.
Hey guys, it's Callum Montgomery, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So Sunday, Cavalry will be playing Atletico Ottawa in Ottawa at TD Place. It all comes down to this, Jason. Cavalry's played 30 games this season. This is the biggest one of those. Third final in a row for the team from Calgary. Definitely one where I feel the odds are a bit stacked against them.
Yeah, I think that you have to look at this match and see Cavalry coming in as underdogs. You know, they're playing on the road, and they're playing a team that they have, frankly done very poorly against this year.
Yeah, in their 4 games against Ottawa, they lost 3 of them and drew the other one. And they're taking on a team that hasn't lost at home, believe it or not, Jason, since last season. Atletico Ottawa went 14 games unbeaten at TD Place this year, and they were the top scoring team in the CPL. So you have to fancy them. But of course, Cavalry have shown this postseason what they're capable of. They're coming off a really impressive 1-0 win over Forge last week, and equally impressive 4-1 win over York United the week before that. So they really have found their playoff form. And as long as, they put out a strong performance and get good performances from their key players this Sunday, I think they have a great chance to retain their championship from last year.
Well, I agree with everything you said there. I think that, they're in very good position, but I'm going to counter that with a couple points that we've talked about a little bit. I'm not sure if we talked about when we've been recording or not, but I think one thing that could be a problem for Ottawa is all the pressure is going to be on them in this match. Like, they are, the hometown favorites. They are expected to win this game. They've performed all year. All the pressure really is on them, even though, weirdly enough, that Cavalry is the defending champions. I think that Ottawa's going to this match and it would be, gutting for them if somehow they didn't pull it out. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for Cavalry, obviously the playoffs, like the championship game, is a game that they expect to be competing for every year, right? This, as I mentioned, is their 3rd final in a row, their 4th in team history. So they have the experience of playing in big games to draw upon, and most of the squad was there last year. So they're far more familiar with the concept of playing in a high stakes championship game. Ottawa has played in one CPL final before, but That was in 2022, and actually they only have a couple of players on the team still who are in that game. Yeah, I think Cavalry has the experience advantage, but this Ottawa team, every time I've seen them play this year, they've just looked so strong. So I really do think that it is going to be a great match to watch. I don't expect fireworks. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring thriller. I think it's going to be a chess match with very few goals, but I think it's going to put the CPL's quality on display for sure.
As far as we know right now, Cavalry is going into this match pretty close to being fully healthy. We don't know the status of Sergio Camargo. Kind of seems somewhat unlikely that he could play 90. He maybe he'll dress. We don't know that yet for sure, but otherwise, from a health standpoint, the team's doing well. But obviously, if not having Camargo, he's had such a great year. That hurts them.
Yeah, Camargo has been arguably Cavalry's best player, right? He was the only player from the club, I believe, to be nominated for CPL Player of the Year. Jason, I'm going to make a prediction that he is going to play. And I don't think he'll play the full 90, but I have a feeling that he's going to play, and the club is just trying to make it out like he may not play as kind of like a mind game. But I'd be quite surprised if he didn't see the pitch either at the start and then come off early or come off from the bench. But I mean, even if he's carrying a niggling injury, I think he has something that Cavalry will want to show at this game, or they're going to want him to be playing, frankly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, unless there's just something really going on there that we don't know about, if he's at all able to play, I think he'll dress. But obviously, big matchup. I don't know what more can be said. It's for a trophy and for a spot in the Champions Cup in the new year. So
as mentioned, Jason, we did interview Callum Montgomery earlier this week. So I guess now is a good place to slot that in and hear his thoughts on this weekend's championship game, as well as he gave us some details about his career prior to joining Cavalry, which were pretty interesting. So let's run that interview now. I'd like to welcome Callum Montgomery to the podcast. Callum is a defender for Cavalry FC, originally from Nanaimo, BC. Callum, thanks for coming on our podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate it, man.
So first question for you. Obviously, you've got a big game coming up on Sunday. CPL championship game against Atletico Ottawa. How are the players feeling about that? How are preparations coming along?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a really fun week. I mean, these are the games that you play for as a player, and everybody wants to, you spend all season working, and these are the ones where you got to show what you've done all year. So any chance of the trophy on the line, it should be a super electric atmosphere there. Everyone's super excited and in good spirits right now.
I wanted to talk to you for a while because I know you're from Nanaimo originally, and I lived on the island briefly, just an hour and a bit north of there in the Comox Valley. I'm sure you know it. But can you kind of share your pre-professional career, your upbringing, the minor clubs you played for, and how you managed to forge a professional career for yourself?
Yeah, so I grew up in Nanaimo, as you said, and spent most of my youth there up until grade 11. I was playing for Nanaimo United. And then in grade 11, I ended up moving down to Victoria. At that point, I joined the Highlanders prospects back in the day, like the U21 team for the Victoria Highlanders, which played in the PDL in the summer. And with school, I was driving like 3 days a week down to Victoria through my grade 10 year down there. And it was just too much driving with trying to keep up grades. So I actually went to boarding school for 2 years at St. Michael's University. Or SMU in Victoria, and I played 2 years with Victoria Highlanders before getting recruited to go down to NCAA UNC Charlotte in North Carolina, which is a Div 1 school, top 25 program every year, pretty much year in, year out. And then in the summers, I would still come home and play for the PDL team with the Victoria Highlanders.
Mm-hmm. And I knew you
just met Tommy.
Yeah, that's my next question for you is obviously you would have played against Tommy's Foothills teams. So yeah, what was it like then to end up playing for him a few years after the fact?
Yeah, it's so funny actually. Every game that we played Foothills, I would leave needing stitches. I split my eye open one game. Somebody kicked me in the face and I had to get a surgical operation to fix my orbital bone. So every game against them was so physical. And when I was looking to come back to the CPL, I was like, I can't play against these guys anymore. It just left such a memory on me. So, but yeah, I mean, the Foothills team, that was definitely the start of, I think, where Cavalry kind of came through and their identity, and Tommy as a coach. Obviously, Jay, Nick were on that team. Some of the current players like Marco was in goal. I remember playing against him all the time. So it's kind of cool to go full circle playing against them to now being with them.
Mhm.
It's definitely nicer to be on their team, that's for sure.
For sure. I wanted to ask you about this season. You played a lot as a starting center back. I mean, what has it been like to kind of take that step following Dan Klomp's departure from the team last year? Obviously, he has come back since, but taking that kind of leadership role in the defense this year, what was that like for you?
I think it's tough, especially early to ever replace a guy like Dan Klomp, two-time defender of the year. He's a special player. But yeah, I got a little bit more responsibility thrown on me early in the year, but it's nothing I haven't done before. We still had guys like Eric, Levi, Tom play a lot at the beginning of the year with me as well, stepping up. And I think, as a team, it was more the team replace that. You never find a single individual to replace someone like Klompy. It's got to be the team. Someone takes a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and also just adapt to what my strengths are. Those strengths will be different than Klompy's, which will be different than Levi's or Tom Fields, and just kind of like playing to what are our best strengths. But yeah, it's great to have Klompy back. What a player. And, we're kind of buzzing along right now coming into the final on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the final on Sunday, I was curious, this will be Cavalry's third championship game in a row. So, I mean, what is it like to prepare for a championship game? What are the training sessions like in the week leading up to it? And how does it differ from preparing for just a regular match, or does it at all?
Yeah, honestly, we try not to change too much. We try to just play the game and not the occasion. Throughout a year, you create so many routines and how we structure the week and those types of things. So honestly, our tactics, we do little tactics more based on what Ottawa will bring and their strengths and weaknesses and where we can exploit them and where we have to be super solid. But otherwise, the week in, week out, we're not changing too much. At the end of the season, guys are a bit more beat up and tired, so sessions tend to taper out a little bit as you approach the end of the year. But as far as how we structure the week, things don't change at all. It's just, a lot more excitement amongst the group, maybe more media around at the training sessions and that type of thing.
So the opponent being Ottawa, first time you'll have played them in a CPL final. They are a club that Cavalry struggled against this year in the regular season. So how do you kind of reverse that, your fortunes against them in earlier games this year? And how does the team hope to change the course of its games against Ottawa?
They've had a great year, and fair credit to Diego and what he's done. Their coach coming in, I think he's really revolutionized how they play, and it's been a really good chess match watching them, and they're exciting. But we've been in these big games before. Playoff games play different than regular season games. The crowd's going to be bigger. The pressure's going to be there. And at the end of the day, we've been in the games. So we've been there. We've done it. So, we're kind of relying on that experience where they might not have that experience. We have our nuances, which I won't really spill on this, of where we think we can exploit them and things that we have to be solid in the game plan. But, we feel very solid with where we're at right now. We have a lot of confidence amongst the group, I think. And, it's going to be a fantastic game, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, we're all very excited for it. Is there anything else about either your career with Cavalry or this weekend's game that you'd like to highlight before we end the call?
Hopefully it'll be a third trophy in 3 years, and we'll keep the train rolling.
Callum, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, this is Jed Strauss, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
Okay, let's talk about USports and in particular the men's division. MRU Cougars, after winning the Canada West Championship last weekend, they're off to nationals in Toronto, and their first match was actually this afternoon, Thursday afternoon, and big result for them.
Absolutely. As mentioned, a 2-1 win over Cape Breton, who won USports Nationals in 2023 and have competed at USports Nationals something like 5 or 6 times out of the last 7 or 8 years. I can't remember the stat exactly, but what I'm trying to say is that Cape Breton is a perennial contender at the national championships. And yeah, MRU bagging a 2-1 win with a late goal from, who else, Jason? Channon Chanda, who scored the winner in dramatic fashion in the Canada West final. He managed to do similar this time, very similar play actually, with Josh Flaxman getting to the byline and putting in a cross and Chanda knocking it in. 2-1 win, and they advanced to the USports semifinals.
Scott, they advanced to the semifinals, and they're going to be playing UQTR, which is the Quebec University based out of Trois-Rivières. And that match is going to happen on Friday.
The only thing I know about Trois-Rivières is they beat Toronto earlier today. I think this match went to extra time. They won 3-2. I think that gives a slight advantage to Mount Royal just because of the extra game that the Quebecers would have had to play. So maybe they'll be running with a bit heavier legs than MRU. But yeah, that game is kicking off Friday. So today, I believe kickoff is 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. And, I think if you maybe Google around or check out YouTube, you might be able to find a feed for it. Interestingly enough, UBC, who was ranked number 1 all year, and then the Cougars beat them last weekend in the Canada West final, they've been eliminated. So University of Montreal Carabins defeated them. So they're out of the tournament now. Lots of Calgary connections on that team. But yeah, I think that's probably a bit of a shocker to have them go out in the first round.
Yeah, to see both UBC and Cape Breton, who I believe are the winning teams from the last 2 USports national championships, eliminated in the first game. Maybe that shows a bit of a changing of the guard. I don't know.
As far as other USports news, we know that this is the week where all-star selections and player awards all come out. So there are some awards to talk about on the men's side that have for Calgary connections.
Yeah, Shannon Shand received the Lou Bielek Award for Rookie of the Year in USports. And then 2 Calgarians made the USports first team, those being Max Piepgrass from Cape Breton and Owen Antoniuk from the University of Calgary, both of whom played for Cavalry this season.
Yeah, so I think maybe we'll not talk about it too much right now. I think maybe we'll save it till after the nationals are over, but probably prior to the USports draft. Man, it's like Shannon Chanda, what a season he's had.
And Jason, I want to give a shout out as well to Jonathan Walter, who scored the first goal in this game. A nice effort from him on the second phase after an MRU corner kick in the first half, a looping volley into the top corner. So yeah, he got the other goal for MRU. It was quite nice.
Hi, I'm Avril Jamieson, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
Okay, so let's talk about the women's division. And as we know, the Dinos and Cougars aren't involved in national championships, but there were a few all-star picks that we wanted to highlight, players with Calgary connections.
Yeah, Tamara Jurisic from MRU and Grace Hannaford, who plays for Cape Breton. They both made the USports first team. And then Isabelle Lachance from the University of Saskatchewan and former podcast guest Avril Jamieson from St. FX were named to the all-rookie team.
And one more post-secondary note we should mention when it comes to ACAC. St. Trojan Nikki Charlton won the 2025 Canadian Collegiate Athletic Association's Women's Soccer Player of the Year. So best women's player in the country. So kudos to her. That's she had a great year and biggest award you can win.
Yeah, as an individual, and that's a great way to finish her ACAC career, right? Because that she is a 5th year. The press release, something I didn't know about her season, Jason, is that she converted 80% of her shots, tallying 12 goals and getting 4 assists in 12 games. And 7 of her goals were game-winning goals. So really impressive leadership from her this year. And yeah, well-deserved to be recognized for it.
This is Maggie Doherty Howard, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
Last segment for tonight, we did have a few notes about women's soccer, Calgary Wild, NSL that we wanted to touch on here before we wrapped up. A few bits of news have sort of have happened over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, the Wild season is obviously over. They didn't make the playoffs, but one of their players has been recognized with an individual honor. Captain Maggie Doherty Howard was named to the Players' Choice All-Star team, and Calgarian Kaylee Hunter, who of course plays for AFC Toronto, was also named to that squad.
And Kaylee Hunter also, as I think we mentioned earlier, did win NSL Rookie of the Year. So a big season for her. And then last weekend, she scored for AFC Toronto in their playoff match.
Yeah, that was in Toronto's win over Montreal, and that's a two-legged affair. So those two teams will be playing again this weekend to see who will advance to the NSL championship game.
As you know, Scott, I'm always finding unusual little tidbits of information online, and I ran across something this week that I thought was worth mentioning, especially if someone's looking for a job right now in women's soccer.
Yeah, it looks like the Wild are hiring an academy director.
So I guess when we went into this initial NSL season, setting up a youth system in the academy, I don't think was a top priority for any of the NSL teams it's for their first year. But it looks like the Wild are going to, be putting a lot more effort into it this year, and they're going to be hiring somebody that's going to be the academy director, the head coach of the youth team, and it'll be interesting to see if they look in the direction of a local candidate or they look outside of Calgary. But, it'll be interesting to see who they end up picking. Thank you for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. You can have this podcast downloaded to your device as soon as it becomes available by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other platforms. Check out our website at yycsoccer.com, where you can look through our episode archive and find other options to listen, including our YouTube channel. We also have links there so you can buy Scott's book. It's all about the history of professional soccer in Calgary, and it's called Here Come the Cavalry. You can leave a question or comment in the Contact Us section of our website. You can also interact with us on social media such as Twitter, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, where our username is YYC Soccer 403. Thanks for listening.